So we have a lot of CEOs talking about how they've created happy workplaces, like Alan before, and we've got some coming. So we thought it would be good to hear from some frontline staff about what it's like to work in a happy workplace. So from Happy, we have for you Sal, one of our IT facilitators, Laura, one of our Happy People account managers, Rebecca, one of our IT training account managers, and Maureen will ask the questions. Over to you, Maureen.
Lovely. Thank you. Well, first of all, hi, Sal, Rebecca, and Laura. Thank you so much for joining us today to share how it is to work at Happy and what makes Happy a great workplace. Okay, so guys, if you've been to everyone, if you've been to Happy before, you know that we have a special afternoon treat. So my first question to Rebecca, Sal, and Laura is, what's your favorite ice cream?
Ooh, okay. Mine changes with the weather, but at the moment it's Ben and Jerry's cookie dough.
Mm.
I think mine's the mango Solero.
Okay, and Sal?
Mine is the Oreos. I love the Oreos. That feel of having a biscuit as well as an ice cream all in a sandwich. Yeah.
Okay, well, a discussion for another day of whether that is a biscuit. But our first question is, thank you guys for sharing that. Our first question is to Laura about celebrating mistakes. That's one of our values at Happy. So what happens if you make a mistake at Happy?
Good question. So just to give you a bit of an overview, I started working at Happy about 3.5 years ago. And one of my favourite parts of working here is that mistakes are celebrated. It felt so liberating to find out that I could be open about my mistakes, and also that I wasn't alone in making them, because everybody's open about their mistakes at Happy. We even include it in our monthly strategy reports. In previous jobs, I had experienced all sorts of behaviour towards making mistakes, making me want to cover them up or not really looking for the support that I needed for them. So an example of a mistake I did make at Happy was when I was directly in contact. So I was just training to be an account manager and I was quite new to the role, but I was directly in contact with quite a big client. And in an email to them, I said I'd follow up the following day. And I forgot to follow up, and we lost, and the client ended up not booking with us. But instead of being told off, I was given feedback and told to celebrate the mistake. And it was left up to me to resolve the situation. I learned more from this experience than I'd ever learned from any previous mistake, because I felt I owned it. It was my journey. And I wanted to improve for Happy and our team, not out of fear of getting it wrong. It really gave me so much confidence and it really helped me grow. So yeah, it really feels like I work in an environment where it's completely accepted that you learn from your mistakes.
Awesome. That sounds really great. And really glad that you had that experience. And as you said, about it lifts your confidence as well. Really well done.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so talking about the mistakes, I want to ask around strengths. You know, that's one of the things that we look at Happy about, working to our strengths. So Sal, what is it like to work to your strength?
For me, it starts off by finding my natural abilities. And it took a while to get there. So when I started at Happy, I had to do, during the induction period, I had to do a self-assessment questionnaire, and this was targeting our strengths. And I found my 5 strengths. That was where I discovered my 5 strengths. And having found that, it's giving me joy, because I now work at least 85%, I can say. That's even higher than the target. 85% of my role brings me joy. And that's just because I'm doing what I love to do best. So day in, day out, I'm creating customer delight. This comes easily, effortlessly. It's natural. I'm in my natural habitat when I'm doing this. So at the end of my working day, I don't feel tired. I don't feel stressed. I mean, I'll take that back. I may feel tired. I'm no spring chicken, but I don't feel drained. I don't feel burnt out, if I can say. So I get a little rest and I'm ready to fire on the next day. So my scenario, I can create, I remember several scenarios, but one that comes to my mind a lot is the other day, my colleague, and I've just noticed she's joined, please don't take it bad. She gave me this big, massive manual to update and edit. Honestly, I don't particularly enjoy this task, but I'll do it. I'll step out of my comfort zone and get it done. So when I talked about 85% of my role bringing me joy, you see that 15%, some of it comes from this. This is my joyless time. I will still do it, like I said. So I delegated it. I knew on this occasion, I don't want to do it. And I'm in a place where I can say I don't want to do it. So I asked someone else in my team to do it because they are better at it. They have the desired strength and I could work on something else. So working smarter was really a good thing for me. It's helped me work smarter. And I can also see that when I'm doing this, I'm working not as hard as, and imagine how much I've grown from doing what I love to do best. I think I've become a specialist in my own field.
Can I ask? Okay, so in terms of strengths, because you said there was 5 strengths.
Yes.
Okay, which one is your best one or your top one, shall I say?
Yes. So if you want, I can give you all my 5, but the top one, that's my leaning. I lean on that. I go to that one naturally. Relator. I relate well with people I come in contact with, my colleagues, my class, in my class, and even taking it outside happy. My relator strength is my top one. Okay. I also maximize very well and I work in harmony. So those are the first top 3 of my 5. Okay. And yeah.
All right. Well, I definitely can say that I see how you relate in the classrooms. So really well done.
Thank you.
So this is really nice with these different themes, and it's about looking at the values also that we bring in Happy, and hopefully people, everyone can see that the proof is in the pudding. So Rebecca, I'm going to come to you around trust, which is another value of ours. What has been your experience with trust at Happy?
Right. I think I'm probably the youngest member of Happy in terms of tenure. I've been at Happy just over a year now. And so for me, like my previous roles still kind of fresh in my mind. And so sort of as a contrast, thinking to where I was before and how I was very micromanaged of how and when things needed to be done. Even in terms of like targets, like I had no control over that. But coming to Happy and essentially be given, during my induction, these are the tasks that you need to complete, and just being the freedom, having the freedom to decide when to do them and how to do them, has been so free. And being able to set my own deadlines, and being able to set those deadlines and have those conversations with clients and know that I'm responsible for meeting those deadlines, has been really, really freeing. Because I think there's certainly there's a different level of ownership around how you do things when you set the trajectory of how it works.
Okay, so tell me something. So when you first had that, the ability to be able to take ownership, how did it feel?
It felt very strange, I'm being completely honest, because it's almost like especially like initially, like I'd come in and I'm almost started off feeling like, is there someone looking over my shoulder? Because I was so used to that. But then actually realizing that there's no one looking over my shoulder. I'm trusted to do my job in the right time frame. Has been so free. And like my blood pressure's gone down a lot.
I'm glad. Okay, thank you for sharing. All right, so it's funny because we had Lisa talking about psychological safety, so and that's something that we're really trying to practice at Happy. So Laura, can you explain what you've done around psychological safety?
So this ties into celebrating mistakes, really, which has been a value of Happy's for quite a long time. But it wasn't until a couple of years ago when Nikki, one of our staff facilitators, ran a session for all staff, but excluded our senior leaders, on the topic elephant in the room. I know this has just been mentioned. And she explained a little about psychological safety in the session, but then the session was basically, we put post-it notes onto a Jamboard, and this ensured any contribution was anonymous, but it gave us the space to raise anything that we didn't feel safe enough to speak about. And we realized there were some common themes that we needed to uncover and address. And so we created a psychological safety action group, and I decided to be a part of the group. And the first thing that the group did was share the feedback with our senior leaders, who took on board the feedback, and they started to improve on some of the concerns. For example, some of the staff felt that some of the they didn't have enough time to reflect on information. So basically decisions were just being made much too quickly. And Henry, our Chief Happiness Officer, he immediately made changes to this, and now he sends information on big decisions well in advance of staff meetings. So the group is still ongoing, and at the moment we're working on some internal training following a survey, but we're realizing it's a very, very complex subject. So it's just very much work in progress.
Awesome. Thank you. Right. So our next question, and I'm going to look at, we've had lots of talks and even on our podcast and so on about appraisals. So we don't have appraisals, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to give that over to Rebecca. So how do appraisals work at Happy?
Right, okay, so we don't have appraisals, we have snapshots. And what the snapshot is essentially, it's sort of split into, I would say, two main parts. So it's your radical disruption, which is sort of like your goals, and that's spanned over 4 months. So it's your goals, and then it's your joyful score of how much joy you're getting out of the work that you're doing. What's really nice about the snapshot is that it's very much self-led. So your M&M, your mentor multiplier, will have that conversation with you and coach you through your almost your goals, but it's very much self-led, which is quite refreshing. And so the first part is kind of reflecting on your previous one of how you found the process of, was it the right radical disruption? Were there any challenges with achieving your radical disruption? And then looking forward to actually what do you want to focus on over the next 4 months? And then your joyful score is around, and this kind of feeds into your strengths as well, of how much joy you're getting out of work and how much of your strengths you're being able to use up in your day-to-day role.
Okay, so you set your own radical disruption.
Absolutely.
Okay, do you want to share your last one?
Yeah, all right, so I'll share my two previous ones. I've had two so far. So my first one was around, because I've recently taken over managing health and safety at Happy. So my first one was around trying to get everyone up to date, documents up to date, fully compliant. So that was my first one. And I learned very quickly that when you set your radical disruptions around other people, it can be challenging to meet your deadlines, because you have to kind of factor in everyone else's workload and everything they have going on. A friend of mine always says that when you're going on a road trip, you always have to account for an extra half an hour for every person that's coming on the trip. So it's, seeing that as well in a work context of, yes, I might have my deadlines, but other people have lives and have things going on as well. I may not always fit into my deadlines, shall we say.
Totally.
So that's my previous one. My current one is around organizing myself in being more productive and trying to almost set up my calendar, set up my tasks, set up my to-do list in such a way that I don't feel overwhelmed or that I'm missing things. That's what I'm currently working on.
Okay, well, wishing you the best of luck. I'm sure you'll achieve it. So Sal, I'm going to come over to you. And we've talked about our snapshot, so that's an opportunity where we can discuss with the M&Ms, mentors and multipliers about what it is that we want to achieve. So I want to just touch on about praise and recognition. So how is praise and recognition culture at Happy different from previous companies?
Very noticeable. First things first, very noticeable. So previous places I worked, and I've shared this on one of my courses I attended with a colleague the other day. You see, where I worked before, no one says anything. You do all the work, you get maybe group recognition, but when it comes to like praise, individual praise and recognition, it doesn't happen. You meet all your deadlines, meet all your targets. It just doesn't happen. It's not their culture, it's not their way. It's more like tough love, if I can say. But it wasn't until my leaving day, though, when I was leaving that company, I realized that they gave a speech. And during that speech, they recognized all of those little things I'd been doing. But why didn't anyone say it? They waited till that moment. I spent quite a good number of years there, and it wasn't until that last day I heard all of this. So bringing it back to Happy, that's no comparison at all. At Happy, they don't gatekeep on recognizing efforts. You will hear it, you will see it. We even have appreciation cards. Can you see mine? All tagged up. And I leave them there till they start dropping. When it starts dropping, then it's time to go. And maybe another new one comes. So yes, we have a whole pack of them. We never run out of these cards. And every now and again, someone will tell you something like, oh, good job there, well done. We technically just celebrate each other. Happy is one of the places I've worked where we also celebrate Employee Appreciation Week. Or is it a new thing? I don't know. But I only heard about it when I got to Happy. And you know what? This year, everyone at Happy got a preloaded voucher to spend on anything of our choice. I mean, that's not what gives you joy for some, but it's a little bit of these perks here and there that just goes a long way. And it gives you that moment thinking, I feel seen, I feel appreciated, I feel acknowledged when this happened. And you know what? It's even giving Happy itself a positive reputation. Let me start counting just for this year. Great place to work. We have an award. Investors in People, name it. We even ranked second, was it best workplace in medium-sized organization, and even listed as UK's top companies to work for. So when you give praise, when you give recognition, honestly, your staff, your colleagues, they would acknowledge it. And maybe that's why I'm still here. It's been 7.5 years for me. I'm still counting.
It's gone very quickly as well, hasn't it?
It has.
Well, thank you for sharing all those accolades. Henry, you're going to have to take Sal around with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So honestly, it's a great place to work as well. So just being praised, being recognized.
Yes.
Amazing.
No, awesome. And thank you for sharing that. And saying that, I need to say thank you to John, because John is one of the people that sends those appreciation cards. Because I remember one dropped through my letterbox and I was not expecting that. So it is Happy. It's great for doing that. Okay. And let's have another question, because I know our time is going. So actually, let's take this to our 4-day week. So 4-day week is something that's really popular at the moment, and we've been put this in place. So Laura, can you tell me more about the 4-day week?
Yeah, so we were doing the productivity summer for quite a few years, which is the same as the 4-day week, but only in August. So when the UK pilot, the 4-day week started, everyone at Happy agreed to join it, and we basically had a staff meeting where we discussed how we could make it successful, and we shared ideas around do's and don'ts and productivity and what support we needed. And then we did prepare ourselves. So we did some, we attended a productivity blitz session. We shortened our meetings to 30 minutes. So all of these things added to a much higher efficiency level at Happy. And our income increased. So the success of it, so that we basically voted it in permanently. It wasn't easy to start with, because we basically had to do the same amount of work in less time, which was quite daunting at first. But we started working more collaboratively, and each team was empowered to find solutions to things like office cover and client work. And the results were amazing, both financially and for staff's well-being. Personally, I felt it's a huge benefit for working here, because I learn how to be more productive, but also I get an extra day to do the things that I love outside of work, you know, like walks and cycles.
Nice.
So yeah, it's really improved my well-being, but also my love of work, because I don't feel exhausted by the end of the week anymore.
Okay. So, I mean, would you ever consider going back to 5 days?
No,
I thought I'd just ask.
really wouldn't. I definitely not. Definitely not. No, it's too
And
good. It's too good.
Rebecca, Sal, how do you feel about that? Is that the same?
Yeah.
Same feeling. I can't imagine going back to 5 days a week now. Is just having that extra day to spend on yourself, to do what you like to do or whatever you want to do, even if it means just doing errands and running around. At least you know that you can book all of that. It's just refreshing. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. Okay. So, ladies, I know that you do have a question that you want to ask our audience. So, Rebecca, I'm going to hand that to you because obviously we've got to do things in a timely manner. So, Henry, are you going to be able to do the breakout rooms for us?
I'm ready to do the breakouts for you. Absolutely.
Okay.
So
So,
your question is, what's your greatest fear preventing you from celebrating mistakes? And if you already celebrate mistakes, what is your best or your favorite story of when you celebrated a mistake?
do you want a feedback or do you have a question for Laura, Rebecca, or Sal? Oh, we have hands up. Mike Smith, do you have a question?
We had a really brilliant discussion, and it was around on the mistakes bit. Everyone talks about, we're open about mistakes, we learn from them, everyone in our group. But we said it didn't feel very English to celebrate them and read. And we thought the language was almost a cultural barrier. And we thought actually it might work better if you talked about embracing mistakes or maybe even hugging them, because that's got kindness. But so that was just a thought that the language can get in the way of what you were trying to achieve.
Yes. No, you're right. I think when we've discussed this at workshops and people are celebrating mistakes, it's quite a bit of a shock to them. Laura, Rebecca, Sal, any comments?
I think I would add that, yes, the terminology might be strange to some, organizations, but what matters the most is just thinking about it as a learning experience. So explore what happened, find what the results afterwards could be, and what did you do to make, to turn things around. Just take from the experience and move on from it.
Lovely. Thank you, Mike, for the question. Thank you, Sal. Nick, you have your hand up.
I do. Thank you. We're talking about, how often, making mistakes is kind of culturally ingrained in school, and we've all, I'm sure, suffered red ink. I'm sure it's not just me, but I do a lot of work facilitating in companies, and I also like to look at it from a different angle, which is about celebrating successes and for people talking about what they've done really well, because we don't do that very much publicly, and then get positive feedback around that. And I've run quite a lot of sessions with people, getting them to talk about what they've done well. And I think if we allow that, because that's quite vulnerable actually, talking about what you've done well, if we allow that, it gives perhaps more permission even to celebrate successes, if that makes sense.
Oh, it totally does. I mean, imagine celebrating a mistake and then the success from it.
Okay, let's close on this. So thank you very much to Laura, Rebecca, Sal, and to Maureen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.